etc. Right? We also learn how to describe food. And now we're going to see a different topic, but it's still related to what we saw during this unit. And in the article we read the last time, we learned some interesting things about the food, right? For example, that no surprise, but garlic it helps to avoid mosquitoes, right? Getting close to you. Um, we also learn why onion makes you cry, and that some people who are allergic to peanuts is because it contains glycerol, which is it's also containing dynamite, right? So now we are going to continue from here, again, talking about food, to review the topic of conditionals, right? So usually when we talk about conditionals, right? We have different conditionals to talk about um, what can be the consequence of our actions in determined situation, or what we would do in an imaginary situation, right? So we're going to have this short review, and we're going to talk about first conditional, zero conditional, but also the imaginary conditionals, and how you can make your English a little bit more sophisticated using some formal language resources that the same English allows you to use in, let's say, more formal context or a more literary context. So first, remember that the first conditional and zero conditional, they are called real conditionals. Usually when you talk about, for example, tomorrow, right? For example, tomorrow there is full moon, right? So many people go to the beach or go outside to watch it, because it's really big now and it's really beautiful. So let's see, if tomorrow is not cloudy, we will go to see the moon, right? So this we will go to see the moon is on the condition that it's not cloudy tomorrow, right? We can use some words or some vocabulary that you can use when you talk about if, right? Some of them you can see here, right? We have as long as, we use the expression as long as, right? For example, tomorrow, as long as it's not cloudy, we will go to see the full moon. Suppose, right? Suppose you can use like, just in this imaginary situation, what would happen, right? So suppose is like just introducing the sentence to using a supposition. Unless, to say that unless is um cloudy, we will go see the moon. So it's basically the same, right? Providing or provided, and is saying only if, right? Providing, it means only if. Providing tomorrow is not cloudy, we will go and see the moon. And on the condition that's like, also there's this is my condition, so you can change. And for me, it's not possible to skip it. I just want to keep these conditions so I can do other different thing. Okay. So this is called first conditional. The way you use it is you have in this part the simple present, but then here you have the future will, right? Actually, you can also use here might, right? We might go to see the moon as a possibility, right? Okay. Now we have some other, we have this conditional that is called the zero conditional. When you describe it, real stuff and natural laws, common sense situations, you use the zero conditional. For example, if let's say, or we could say like in some situations when, right? When mm, when there is full moon, the waves are bigger, right? So I'm saying this not like something that happens just once, right? But something that happens all the time. So I can replace when and use it if. If there is full moon, the waves are bigger. But I'm just saying this because it's a situation that happens every time. Yeah. So the same you can think about situations. Now we were talking about food, right? And some of the things that in this article were mentioned was um um you'll need to go to the hospital immediately if you have an allergic reaction to a peanut. Yeah. Or for example, you'll have to go to a restaurant with a food trained chef unless you want it to be your last meal. When or if you cut an onion under running water, the gas won't get into your eyes. All right. So that's for the first condition, the first and zero conditional. I could think about one example, the one about the etiquette rules. If you don't, because this happens very common, this structure, you use it to talk about rules or etiquette rules that we checked yesterday. Do you remember any etiquette rules that we mentioned yesterday?
Drink from the same side of the cup.
Yeah. Okay, so if you don't sip your wine from on the same side, you will make it dirty, right? Or you will be considered maybe not disrespectful, but uneducated. Uneducated, right? And the reason why you need to sip your wine always on the same side is to not make it dirty, and that you always like where there is this mark of your lips on the cup of or on the cup of wine. Yeah, it's always stained on the same side, right? Okay. Um. Okay, imagine you're having a dinner with your boss or with an important client. If you, let's say, I don't know, if you burp in front of your client in um fancy dinner, what can be one consequence if you burp in front of your client in a fancy dinner? Do you remember what burp means?
Yes.
Yeah, what is burp?
In Spanish means like eructar.
Yeah, okay. So in some countries, this is correct, but in a regular situation, now we're here in this part of the world. So what could be one consequence of doing that?
They
Your
can,
client may be surprised.
they can get
Will
mad.
what
Like they
suffer?
can go mad.
What did you say, Chenny? You're decline what?
Maybe surprised.
Okay, okay. So he will be surprised. Yes, I think. Okay, what did you say so?
I will get mad if someone burp in front of me like in a dinner. You know, I just pass this. If he's my boss, I cannot do anything. But if it's something like me, like similar or anything like that, say, hey man, stop right there. I really,
Okay.
and I will stop them. This person. No. Okay.
Okay.
Obviously, sometimes it happen, and you don't want to that happen. People always say like, "Oh, pardon me, I didn't mean to," or something like that. Okay, that's different. But if someone like make it by itself, by
Yeah, on
by his
purpose.
own wish, I get mad.
Okay. Well, and so I think it be an embarrassing situation. Depends on your view, but I think that we don't like it. But if you do it, I think that your client will be surprised. The person can be annoyed by it, right? So definitely it's a very embarrassing situation. Okay, very well. So we're talking about is something, right, that can happen, right? Now, if you want to talk about the same situation, but more like unreal thing, maybe because it's just a supposition. So in a supposition, well, you you think something it won't happen that easy, right? For example, um, I don't know, let's see. If your food is cold when served, just I don't know, or I would say in my case, if my food is cold when served, um, I would ask the waiter to change it right away, right? So this is something that can happen, right? Now, can we make it, can we imagine a situation that could happen at the restaurant, but maybe it's not that possible, right? For example, if my food had an insect, I would scream. Well, I don't know, I wouldn't do that. I would just gross out and I don't know, I would get my money back. But check the difference between this check the difference between this sentence right here and the sentence with this. If my food had an insect, I would scream. So here we are talking about something that can happen, but it's not common, right? So I would say it's just a supposition, right? So in this case, I'm using the past form of the verb to talk about this, mm, let's say, imaginary situation. So what would I do in such situation? So this is what it's called the second conditional when you talk about things that could not happen like that common or that you don't expect them to happen, but could happen anyway, right? So for making this supposition, you use had. If my food had an insect, which is the verb is not because the sentence is in past, right? The sentence is not in past, but um, but it makes the sentence sound like it's just a supposition, right? Okay, so let's think about other situation. If I broke a glass, or let's say if I kicked off, sorry, if I knocked off a glass and spill it on my guest, what would you do? If you knock off a glass and let's say, I don't know, maybe wine, it's a cup of wine or something that leaves stains. What would you do in such situation? Oscar, what would you do?
What do you mean when you say knock off a glass?
Knock off?
Uh-huh.
Well, the glass is on the table. You move your arm and you
I
knock.
I throw the, okay. Maybe I feel embarrassed and
Okay.
say,
And what would you do to solve this? I don't know. Is your guest? So what would you do to
I try to find something that
fix it?
I try to find something that help to cleaning him.
Okay. I will try. Will you clean him?
No. I give something to that he could use to clean himself.
Okay. So maybe I would bring something for him to clean himself. Okay. What would you do in such situation? Imagine, because it's very common. I think it has happened to you. For me, it has happened, not like in very serious environments, fortunately, but I've knocked off lots of times glasses when I'm at home or when I'm eating with some relatives, right? Well, what do you do in this situation? And let's imagine that now it's a more serious environment.
I would apologize to my guest. That's the
Okay,
first time. Yeah.
yeah. I think they would understand anyway, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Once it happened that during dinner, well, it was actually someone who invited us to their house, so it was at night and they were drinking coffee. Honestly, I don't know how people can drink coffee at night, but they were doing it and it's very common. Um, so they were drinking coffee and yeah, the wife was bringing some coffee and she spilled all the coffee over her husband. So the bad thing is that it was really hot. That I still remember the face of the poor man, and he was really like in pain. But yeah, and also at the same time he was wearing some formal pants and and uh and a shirt. I still remember it was very embarrassing. I don't know if it would happen to me. I think that my reaction, if I was on the other side, I would make um I would make the person feel okay. I know that it's embarrassing. I know that the person didn't have the intention. So I would just make them feel better with themselves, you know. It's just an accident. But dude, I know that some people get mad and like, they don't understand that it's just it's just a mistake, nothing to feel offended. I would be more embarrassed if I damaged something valuable for the other person, If someone invited me to their home and I accidentally broke a vase, I don't know, maybe that would make I would be more embarrassed. So let's continue checking. I just want you to check that the verb knock, right? So the verb knock is usually like this. You need to add the ed because it's a regular verb, but the verb knock in past doesn't imply that the sentence is in past. Is that clear? So what it means is just because in English, this is called subjunctive. And the subjunctive subjunctive. It's a mood in English. It means it's not a tense. It's not like present, past, future. It's just a mood. And you can use this mood in this case, the verb looks like it's in past, right? I mean, it's in the past form. But you just use the past to indicate imaginary situation, right? So in English, the verb doesn't. In other languages, it has a different ending for the word, or the word is changed when you use the subjunctive mood. But in English, you just use the past. So just when you see the verb in past, and you see if, remember that it's not the sentence in past. It's just a supposition, right? Why do we don't have it in the rest of the sentence? Because in these sentences, this is a real conditional, so it's not I'm not talking about suppositions. I'm just talking what I will do in a real situation. While when you use an second conditional, which is with would, right? I don't understand why they call them zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, third conditional, but the numbers are messed up. But when you see a conditional using would, it's not like a real thing, You are not saying what you will do in the situation, just in an imaginary situation, you would do an imaginary, I don't know, you will have this imaginary reaction, all right? So that's why we classify, for example, these conditionals, which the ones that use the present, we call them real conditionals. And the ones that use the past, we call them unreal conditionals. Remember that it's not that the sentences are in past or they imply the use of the past, but just the conditional itself, it implies an imaginary situation, right? So we have real conditionals and unreal conditionals. Like everything about conditionals is just cause and effect. So everything that you do has a consequence, right? So in English, when you use this kind of logic, you may be talking about real situations, like in this case, or more unreal, more or not, maybe not unreal, but a little bit less possible. Yeah. Okay. So, what other words can we use when we dine? We have one expression in English, which I think that it's really would be really, really bad. I think I've seen it in movies, but this is dine and dash. Do you know what dine and dash is? Do you know what dine and dash means?
It rings a bell to me, but I don't know exactly.
Okay. So dine and dash is when you invite someone to have dinner, or you just meet at the place and you have dinner together. You have dinner, you finish, but you leave before paying the check, you know? I told you I can't think of a real situation when you could dine and dash. But I've seen it in the movies, when I don't know, the person is having a really bad experience. I don't know, maybe they go to maybe they have they're dating, and the first date is not what they expected. It's terrible, so maybe you would die and dash in such a situation, right? Imagine that you met a person, right? Look how I am using the verb in this case. If I met, which is totally imaginary, I'm married, I'm not going to do this, but imagine if I met someone at for a first date, Let's see. If I met someone for a first date and her behavior, because I'm not gonna talk about appearance, but her behavior is ridiculous. Like, I don't know if you remember, but there's a program, or there used to be a program, a TV program where, or I think you can find some YouTubers who still do it. They they have a hidden camera. Yeah, they have the hidden camera on the restaurant, and they have a real dinner. So the person pretends that the person is an actor, but the other person doesn't know. So this person starts to behave so embarrassingly. They start barking, or they start behaving like jerks, and they dance, and maybe it's a formal, like an elegant restaurant, and they start dancing, or they start acting childishly. So in this program, you receive more money as you bear with the person, as you try to deal with the person. I don't know if you ever watched this program. It's really fun, and it also makes you feel embarrassed. You feel embarrassed, and you feel bad about the other person because the other person is having a bad time. But if they can be with this person, I think it's 1 hour, they give them, like, I don't know, $10,000 or something like this. Have you ever watched this program, or you don't know what I'm talking about? I don't even remember the name, but it's just a show.
I haven't seen it, but I just want to mention something, teacher. That's why the thing you explained to us right now, that's why is this song from Beyonce, if I were a boy, it's like an imaginary situation, right? That's why she used like the past of be, if I were a boy.
Okay, very well, thank you. And I think the show is called Mystery Dinners. It's a show that I told you. So they have an embarrassing date, and you have to. The other person doesn't know, but if for some reason you can, you stay at the restaurant, they start giving you money. So at the end, they will tell you, "Hey, I'm sorry for what happened, but I'm just an actor, and you are being recorded, and you just earned $10,000, for the show." Yeah. Okay. So in that situation, I think if I met someone for a first date and her behavior is ridiculous, I think I would dine and dash, maybe just in such situation. Or I don't know, maybe the person is, if I met someone for a first date and her behavior, and I don't know, and she was extremely rude, I would dine and dash. So I don't know, I would do this. In what situations would you dine and dash? We are not saying like, no, teacher, I will never do it. No, I want you to think about a real situation where you would dine and dash. Well, not real, because we're talking about unreal conditionals, but try to think what would make you abandon the restaurant and the person and not paying the check.
An earthquake.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, I think so. Shooting, no? If there's a shooting, oh yeah, I don't care about. I'm sorry, I will pay you other day while we just run away. In what other situation would you dine and dash?
When the person is very insupportable with the waiter.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is irrespetuoso o cómo podría decirlo?
Disrespectful. Yeah, disrespectful.
Actually, here in Mexico, there is a program that if one of the person took her in another place and put in a microphone and they tell him dance on the table. And if the other person left the restaurant, you lose. But I don't remember the name of that program.
Yeah, I think I know it too, but I don't
The
remember.
program is Mexican?
Yeah, es con Lechuga, era uno de los actores, but I don't remember another one. I think this is Facundo. I don't remember.
Okay. So I think there are different restaurants, right?
Yeah,
That's
so
are
if
different
you
TV
keep the
shows.
person in the restaurant, you win the money, and
Yeah, that's the
they
one I
will
mean.
increase the things that they have to do. But
They will be more ridiculous,
exactly
more embarrassing.
more money.
Mm,
But at the end, some people they left the din and dash.
yeah, it's like you're crazy. I will go. Okay. Well, other phrase that I want to show you today is dining with Duke Humphrey. Okay, I know this looks like a very strange phrase. Dine with Duke Humphrey. But it's very simple. This sentence means not eating, right? Like when you want to say, I was working the whole day. I was working 10 hours and I, you could say, I dined with Duke Humphrey. It means no comí nada. Yeah, just I didn't eat. It's just a funny way of saying, like, I don't know if there's an expression in Spanish, like comí aire, or I don't know. Like, I didn't eat
Comí
anything.
rebanadas de aire, a veces dicen.
Okay, exactly. Very well. Exactly. So that is what you say, especially when you were expecting the food, you know, when you were expecting to eat something, but you didn't have time, or the guest didn't give you food because, or at work, maybe sometimes at work they tell you, yeah, we give you 1 hour lunch or 3 minutes lunch, and then you don't eat anything, right? So you end up dining with Duke Humphrey. So why Duke Humphrey? Who is who is he, right? So this is the story of a man who, while visiting the tomb of Duke Humphrey of Gloucester, was locked in the abbey and missed dinner. It's a story that no one knows, but so the person went to see the tomb of this king, and but he was locked inside, and then he didn't have dinner. Yeah, you can search his biography. In Spanish is Unfredo Pan Plantagenet. Okay, strange, right? Okay, you can read the story. It's a bit funny. All right. And I wanted to tell you something, but I forgot. Okay, anyway, we have the next expression that is dining with the devil. Okay, what do you think is if I say um okay, if I tell you if you dine with the devil, what do you think it means? If you dine with the devil, it's not that difficult. Just devil is someone evil, someone. It's remember how to say troublemaker in English? Do you remember another way of saying troublemaker related to food? Do you remember? No?
Bad egg.
Bad egg, exactly. Okay. So when someone is a bad egg, If you like having associations or hanging out with bad eggs, so they will tell you you are dining with the devil, right? Not, it's not, obviously it's not literal, just like you are, you have bad associations, you have bad relationships, bad friendships. I mean, you dine with the devil, you will end up in jail, right? In jail. All right. Very well. This is one expression. Then we have other expression that is wine and dine. This is a slang. What do you think is the meaning of wine and dine? Imagine we have a client. Imagine we work at. I'm telling you this example because it happens in this environment. Imagine that you and I work at real estate. You know, real estate. Yeah, you know real estate.
Yes.
Okay, when we work at real estate and we are colleagues. Okay, so then the big cheese arrives. What is the meaning of big cheese?
Important people.
Yeah,
Important.
okay, the very important client, and I tell you, hey, let's take him to wine and dine. Let's be sure we wine and dine him tonight. We could say the big cheese. It sounds weird, right? Like it sounds like you're speaking using special like unknown language, right? The big cheese just arrived. Before taking him to see the house because you want to sell a very expensive house, make sure you wine and dine him. What do you imagine? So an important client, you are about to close a deal and you want to wine and dine. In this case, we're using wine and dine both like verbs. They say these three words are one verb.
Well, I think maybe it have to be something with invite this person to enjoy a moment, like for he being happy or happy,
Yeah.
happy. Then he take a good decision for us.
So wine and dine is like having a very, let's see, maybe not expensive, but maybe you are dining with the person, so with the intention of making them convinced, maybe you will buy the best food for them, and maybe you will, I don't know, it's like let's wine and dine him, like let him choose whatever he wants. If he wants the most expensive steak, you pay it. If he wants the extra dessert, just pay it. You wine and dine him, right? So usually it's a very expensive date, not necessarily, but could be with the intention of getting something in exchange. Okay, we understand this?
I got it.
Yeah. Okay, very well. So what about dine off? Dine off is an expression that you can use when you will repeatedly eat something Okay. Let's say during some celebrations, like in Christmas or any other celebrations, people make a lot of food, right? So maybe they make 5 kilos of turkey. So that means that you will have food the next day and probably even the day after that, right? So when you make a lot of food and then you will continue eating and eating the same food several times, you say dine off. Okay. All right. So in this case, you could say after the celebration, we will dine off turkey for the whole week. So that means you cooked a lot and now you need to finish the meal. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's dine off. That's the meaning. Correct. Have you ever dined off, or when was the last time that you dined off?
But when in the holidays is very common the dine off,
Mm-hmm.
and in situations 2 months later the holidays you eat the barbacoa dine off
Mm-hmm.
of the Christmas.
Okay.
In
Someone
some
else?
weddings.
Some weddings?
Yeah,
In weddings, yes.
they give you the itacate. I don't know how to say it in English.
I think you mean the leftovers. The leftovers is what
Leftovers.
you dine off. Leftovers. Okay. So do you understand, all of you, do you understand the meaning of the vocabulary so far? Is there any word you don't understand, you didn't catch up? Maybe the meaning isn't clear. No? Okay. Very well. Now, how about grab a bite to eat? Grab a bite to eat. Usually you are on a rush in the morning and you need to grab a bite to eat. So maybe you didn't have the time to drink your coffee, have a proper breakfast, but you grab a bite to eat. So you can eat on the way or you can eat whenever you have time. That is a grab, that is to grab a bite to eat. Yeah. Any questions? For example, it's like, oh, I'm late for work. I'm gonna pick up an apple, maybe yogurt, or the leftovers from yesterday. Yeah, do we understand this? Is it
Yeah.
clear?
In my case,
Okay.
I use it a lot with my son. Not in
Yeah.
English, in Spanish, but sometimes when you are going to leave the house, whatever, he always in the road.
So your son needs to grab a bite to eat.
Exactly. So I always tell him take some snacks or something like that. I don't want
Okay.
him to stop in the way.
All right. Very well. Thank you. So now we're going to check this. Right. So we've got these slides to understand a little bit the topic of conditionals. Can you help me, Moni, to read this slide? All this information says unreal conditionals.
Yeah. A second conditional is used for something hypothetical, unlikely, impossible, or not true in the present or future. The condition is not expected to be fulfilled.
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 Okay. And could you please read examples as well?
Yeah. If you took this medicine, it will cure you. I don't expect that you'll take the medicine. If I were was you, I would wait much longer. I'm not you. The second conditional is use the tentative polite request. I will be grateful if you gave me further details of what gym membership involves.
Involves. Okay,
Involve.
thank you. So, like we check in these examples, second conditional uses the verbs in past to talk about the hypothetical, unlikely, or impossible situations. And you don't expect them to happen, like we were talking about case that is very improbable, but you use would, and you use for the part of the condition, you use the verb in past, and then would in just to say what the consequence would be of that action, right? Now, when we talk about unreal conditionals, you also mention things in the past because we as humans, we tend to meditate a lot about the past. Even sometimes we hurt ourselves with how things could have been or how what we would have done differently in certain situation. On the other hand, it's true that meditating about the mistakes in the past will help you to not making the same mistakes again, right? So you will be able um, learn from your mistakes and become wiser, right? So for in any case, you would like to learn about the real conditionals, how to use them correctly, right? So an unreal conditional in past is like in Spanish when you say hubiera, right? I'm gonna say in Spanish so you can understand. The idea of the hubiera, right, in Spanish is just impossible, but not only impossible because it's like in the second conditional that it's improbable, right? But it's two times impossible because it's in the past, right? And there's nothing to do about the past, which, like we say in English, there's an expression that says, don't cry over spilled milk. Don't cry over spilled milk. Do you understand the expression? Don't cry over spilled milk. It's on the chat. Do you know what it means? Don't cry over spilled milk.
I think it's for like don't worry so much about something happens because it already happened, so you cannot change that.
Mhm.
You can just accept it and continue.
Yeah, that's right. So the expression don't cry over spilled milk is the past is gone, right? So don't try to don't worry too much about it, you know. So just try to move on, right? And that is the meaning. Okay, I did something I didn't want to do. Okay. All right. So, when you talk about it, even if you want to talk about regrets, you would use the third conditional. So it's used for something in the past that is hypothetical, not true, right? So, and we have this example right here. If Carl hadn't been so fit, he would have taken much longer to recover. So probably Carl was in the hospital, but he was in good condition, in good shape. So he helped his own body to recover, right? So that's why I'm just talking about a situation that didn't happen, but what would happen in such scenario, right? Usually when we regret about what we did, we would use the second conditional, right? For example, we would say, if I hadn't eaten so much, I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have had such stomachache, right? Or it could be that the situation you are suffering in the present. If I hadn't eaten so much, I wouldn't have such a stomachache. Because in this sentence, it means that the consequence was in the past and you no longer have the stomachache, right? So you could, when you regret about it, do you regret about any situation related to food? For example, I have a problem, some of you know I have a problem of reflux and gastritis. So very often when I love coffee, I would drink coffee every day of my life. And I like alcohol, like not like an alcoholic, but I like drinking, you know. The problem is that my stomach can't take it, you know. And if I drink coffee, my stomach is very sore and I suffer a lot. So, in my case, sometimes I say, if like maybe using wish, I wish I hadn't drunk that coffee. Yeah. Because if I hadn't drunk that coffee, I wouldn't be in pain now. Do you have or have you had any regrets related to food? A regret is something you didn't want to do, but you still did. Like me with coffee. Have you had any regrets related to food? Or maybe eating with someone? Any experience?
In my case, if I hadn't drink a lot of soda, maybe I don't have this belt.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's one. Could you share another one?
Teacher, in my case, like I said in the past in another class, my friends put me to eat snake. I didn't know, and that
Mhm.
is the regrets that I have with that kind of food, because I didn't want to, I didn't mean to. But if I could go to the past, and I changed that.
Mhm. Okay, very well. Yes, that's a good one too. All right, guys. So, we're going to go in deeper tomorrow to talk about conditionals. Yeah, we're going to explore what are the possibilities when you talk about conditionals because it can surprise you. And then also like a little bit of formal and more advanced English, you can change or manipulate these conditionals a little bit to make it sound even more advanced, and you can use it with more proficiency in your English. All right. So thank you so much. We will finish for now. Take care and see you next one.
Thank you, teacher.